Okay, so here we have a failure in a piece of steel, and you'll notice there's this scratch here, and the scratch has led to the failure once it's been folded up in the press brake. Now, you know, what you do is you have a backstop set, you have a V-block, and these are bent to the shape of that, essentially, under quite a lot of pressure. So there's a lot of pressure involved here. But a small scratch like this can make all the difference to the integrity of a piece of steel, aluminium, or even a piece of glass. In fact, lots of materials are affected by it. Essentially, what happens is, so here's your piece of material. This is magnified. This could be a very small. This could be a wall section on a bit, some handlebars, a stem, a bike frame, or anything else made out of metal. So this is under a tensile load. So there's a load pulling in this direction. There could also be a load in this direction as well. Either way, you're going to have stress on here. So, you know, the stress or the load can't jump this gap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So there's your stress going in that way. And it can't go anywhere but around. It can't go over here because there's a crack in the way, or a scratch even. And so it's going to go around and congregate at the tip here. So essentially, you've got a much worse situation. If this was a U, say if this wasn't such a sharp point, if the scratch isn't as sharp, it's a U, and it can just go. Let me just draw another. It can just go around it. It's much smoother. It can go much around. So if you've got a crack in something, the best thing you can do before you weld it is to drill a little hole here. But anyway, I digress. A scratch can be very similar to a crack. It depends how deep it is. And obviously in this case, it didn't take much at all to create this stress razor and cause the steel to just crack. You can see it follows it all the way. There's still a scratch. It hasn't cracked there that I can see anyway. You'll probably find it has. There is rust coming out of it. So, but this is why on things like mountain bike stems and things like that, and handlebars and stuff like that, aluminium is far more susceptible to this than what steel is, particularly when you add stress cycling into that. So you've got you know, this is bending up and down, up and down, up and down, and being used in mountain biking or any kind of load like that, or it's a bracket on an engine or whatever. This is going to be much worse. So you've got this is moving a lot. Say you get one jump or one stress cycle, you might get away with one jump, you might get away with 100 of them, but it's going to just congregate here, and that's every time. That's going to increase the size of that crack just a little bit, and then and you're not going to know. The only time you're going to know is when the cross-sectional area is reduced enough that that part can no longer sustain a load. In the case of suspension forks, it could be your steer tube, could be your handlebars, it could be your stem, could be your bike frame, could be absolutely anything like that. So any kind of mark like this has potential to cause a serious failure, especially in aluminium. That's why in like castings and things like that, those Lutu forks that you saw the other day, that I am riding to work by the way, that would be unacceptable in 99.999% of cases. You know, commercial casting isn't under any load yet, be fine, but on anything structural, it's better just to fettle these marks out. Like say if you got a grinder and sanded that so it's flat, the stress couldn't congregate and create a weak point. Even though the material is thinner, essentially it's thinner anyway, and you've just got stress congregating at one point instead of the stress being shared evenly over the material. So yeah, that concludes this video about why stress razors are bad. Thank you for watching.